I was dropping by the neighborhood library for a quick read. I've to me Neofumi, I'm a sophomore from a local university. I'm quite self-conscious about being somewhat more of an otaku compared to other homo sapiens. I've embraced countless anime, games, and other aspects of otaku culture, but I do take my studies seriously so that I can lead a proper life. Actually, my parents had swiftly given up on me and invested their hopes onto my little brother by sending him off to attend some famous cram school. This brilliant eyesore of a brother finally snapped one day and transformed into a delinquent due to all the accumulated stress. He bleached his hair and went full Yankee mode once he arrived home one fateful day, and thus marked the start of our family's dark age. That was when I, the Messiah, made his debut. I tender-heartedly welcomed this ill-humoured and tongue-clicking brother of mine and recommended him to a famous gouge. Har har. Would you look at this mess? What? I was fooled. Just wait until I get the hang of this and you'll see. I knew it all about the cause of my delinquent brother's transformation. On one hand you have me, who grew up doing whatever the hell he wanted, while on the other hand my brother was forced to study like a madman. Therefore, once a slacking specialist like me baited him with a few games, he instantly became hooked like an addict. As far as I was concerned, the world's otaku count had once again increased by 1. Afterwards, his room turned into a castle of gouged goodies from the games I recommended. However, the vexing part was that once all the steam and stress vanished from his system, he graduated from that certain famous cram school with ease and headed straight down the road to becoming one of society's top dogs. As a result, thanks to my heroic achievements, my parents pampered me to an even greater degree. I was granted a fulfilling college life with the utmost freedom included. To sum it all up, I am the useless leech of the I've to me household. Now enough with the rant, I was dropping by the neighborhood library for a quick read. My monthly war chest, funded by my parents, amounted to 10,000 yen. Such a meager amount lasted only for a moment when faced against manga adaptations of light novels, Eroj, Erahun, and other great products from far and wide. Part-time jobs during the summer and winter seasons got me another 50,000 yen worth of war funds, but when one decided to partake in the local festival, this amount of money would soon disappear. Yet when my brother desperately begged as if his life depended on it, our parents agreed to provide us with lodging within the festival's general vicinity for its entire duration, but that still wasn't enough. Well, to maintain one's livelihood, one has no choice but to learn how to conserve one's wallet, which is just barely enough for tuition and basic life necessities. Thus, in order to save money, even though it pains my heart to do so, I have to read old books from second-hand bookstores and the library. During my free time, I usually play net games that proved to be infinitely time-consuming as I tried to master each one of them. I'm the type that likes to play around with a wide array of trivial knowledge to begin with. Reaching max level in a game wasn't as interesting and addictive as hoarding money to me. Even right now, the character that I created was currently vending on the streets while trying to sell off rare items. Hence, the real me with nothing to do was quite bored. That's the reason. The reason behind the incident that was about to occur. I was lurking around the section that dealt with old fantasy books. At any rate, when compared to mankind's history, the fantasy aspect seems to be quite outdated. Even the holy scriptures could be considered as a type of fantasy. For Heavenly Weapons Manual, for some reason, only this ancient-looking, retro-sounding book had fallen from the bookshelves. Most likely, some random guy must have quickly shoved this book onto the shelf and went on his merry way. This must have been a sign of destiny calling. I sat down on a chair and started reading the For Heavenly Weapons Manual. Flip. The story began with the description of a parallel world. To summarize, it prophesied the world's demise. Sooner or later, waves of disaster will assault this world one after another until it's finally destroyed. To escape the impending doom, they have to summon heroes from other worlds and request their aid. Okay, the plot's a bit overused, but since this is a retro fantasy book, it doesn't seem to be out of place. The 4 summoned heroes all possess their own respective, unique weapons: sword, spear, bow, and shield. Arya Tilder to begin with, a shield can't even be considered a weapon, right? Tilder, I chuckled sarcastically as I continued with the story. The heroes then ventured separately, in order to gain power in preparation against the waves of disaster. Crap, I'm getting sleepy. A regal urge to sleep swept through my body. Even though this book is ancient, there has been no cute heroine appearing at all. Although, even if a princess were to appear, she would undoubtedly smell like an irritating slut in heat with a harem involving the 4 heroes. Enough with the princess, let's take a glance at the heroes' characteristics, onto the first one. The sword hero probably had overwhelming combat strength, while the spear hero was probably the considerate type of guy. I wondered if the bow hero would be able to get rid of a horrible dictator like Robin Hood did. The story was shifting towards the shield hero. As I flipped to the next page, I instinctively let out a voice. The page concerning the shield hero that spread out in front of me was white. No matter which angle or direction I looked at the page, it was pure white through and through. What the heck? Right when those words left my mouth, my consciousness drifted away. Never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought that I would awaken in a parallel world. Oh! A voice full of admiration brought me back to my senses. As I settled down, what filled my view was a bunch of men wearing robes, looking in my direction with dumbfounded expressions. What? Following the robed men's line of sight, I found 3 others who also seemed to have trouble grasping the situation. I inclined my head as I thought, what on earth happened? A while ago I was in the neighborhood library. Where was I now? I restlessly checked my surroundings, and all that I found were brick walls in every direction. So this place was made out of bricks. I didn't recall seeing anything like this place before. It certainly couldn't be the library. Below me, there was an altar and various geometric patterns that were painted with fluorescent paint. They resembled what magic circles or alchemic formulas may look like in a fantasy setting. It was that sort of vibe which they gave off. And on top of the altar stood the 4 of us. That's the gist of it, but why do I have a shield attached to me? The shield fit perfectly and was strangely light. Not knowing why it was stuck to me, I tried to remove the shield by slamming it against the floor with all my might, but it refused to dislodge from my arm. Where is this place? The guy with the sword gave into his anxiety and asked one of the robed men. Ooh, please brave heroes. Please somehow save this world. What? All of us said unanimously. What did you mean by that? What was with this cliché line? I felt as though I may have read it in a web novel before. To put it simply, due to various circumstances, we were able to summon you brave heroes through an ancient spell. Summoned. That's the word. The chance of a shocking revelation for this situation was oddly high. But for now, we'll keep listening to their story to see what it has to offer. This world is currently facing a global state of crisis. Brave ones, please lend us your might. The robed man bowed deeply to us while saying so. Well, this is a bit sudden, what a pain. Is that so? Can I just go back to my old world? I already heard this kind of story before. While I was engrossed with their story, the other 3 interrupted me midway. Wait, did they just immediately give an answer to this desperate guy who's bowing so low as if giving the ground a mooch? They jumped the gun after only hearing the intro of this story. The other 3 were all glaring intensely at me now while I was pondering in silence. I gave them a half smile. The tension in the room was rising to a delicate level as time passed. Aren't you jerks actually happy? Well, isn't this a cherished, world-leaping dream come true here? Your attitudes are pretty cliché, huh? But Judes, this is the part where you need to hear them out. Aren't you people guilty over summoning us without our consent? The guy with the sword, who looked like a high school student, pointed his sword at the robed men. For instance, we won't just fight for world peace and then return to our old world empty-handed, right? The guy with the bow scowled at the robed men's direction. You guys don't seem to take much consideration into our own plans, do you? Depending on what you have to offer, we might end up becoming this world's enemy instead, got it? So that's what was up. They were demanding tribute after confirming their social standings. These guys are quite macho. I felt like I've lost in a very meaningful department. Well, first, I'd like you all to have an audience with the king. We can discuss your reward then. The representative of the robed men opened the heavy-looking door to guide us through. Guess it can't be helped. Right. Duh, the guy will be meeting changes, but I bet the story's still the same. The macho bunch arrived at their own conclusions before following. I hastily trailed behind them. We left the dark room and passed through a corridor made out of stone. I wonder why? Was it due to my limited vocabulary that the atmosphere here could only be described as delicious? Our breaths were taken away as we took a peek at the scene outside of the window. Spanning off into the horizon, a town much like one from medieval Europe could be seen. All too mesmerized by the townscape laid before us, we walked down the corridor and reached the audience chamber in no time flat. Who are these fellows, the ancient heroes? On the throne in the audience chamber sat a prideful grandpa who began evaluating us when we arrived. For some reason, I didn't get a good impression of him. I personally do not fancy the act of licking other person's boots. I am the king of this country, All Cray. The 32nd ruler of Melremark. Brave ones, please raise your heads. I wasn't even looking down. Damn, I felt like punching this bastard, but I refrain from doing so for now. He speaks as if he was superior, but I guess it couldn't be helped since he was a king and all. Now then, let me explain our situation. This country, and moreover, this whole world is facing its demise. To summarize the king's story, currently, there is a prophecy predicting the world's end. This world will be assaulted by waves of calamity which will one day turn everything to ruin. To save the world, these waves must be repelled before they can be dispersed. This era marks the prophesied year. There exists a giant, ancient hourglass which continues to drip down ceaselessly. It has the ability to forecast when the waves will arrive, and it began its warning a month ago. According to the legends, each wave will come in roughly 1-month intervals. Initially, the residents of this country were not too concerned over the prophecy. However, as prophesied, when the hourglass had completed its first turn, a wave of disaster occurred. A dimension crack appeared in this country, Melramark, where hideous and brutal demons crept out in large quantities. Other adventurers and knights barely managed to repel them. However, the next incoming wave would be even more powerful. It seemed like the worst-case scenario was about to occur. At this rate, the disaster won't be repelled. That was the basic outline of their situation. By the way, it looked like our legendary armaments had the ability to translate languages for us. I understand your dilemma. But who gave you the right to summon us into doing manual labor for free? That is one hell of a convenient story. Even if that is the case, and this isn't me being selfish or anything, but if this world is going into ruin, then let it be destroyed. This matter doesn't even concern us. The person in front of me laughed loudly. Aren't you also secretly jumping for joy inside that heart of yours, dude? Well, I guess I'll take advantage of this situation too. Certainly, we have no obligation to help you. In the end, it'll just be fruitless labor for us. And once peace comes, you guys will just go, sayonara, as if nothing happened. So to prevent such a sad outcome from occurring, I'd like to hear some form of insurance from you. Surely you have something to present us, right? Fume. The king sent his vassal a glance. Of course, we planned on rewarding the brave ones fully for their efforts. Including me, the heroes made a guts pose with a clenched fist. Jackpot. First phase of negotiations complete. I had already made arrangements to aid your cause with money. And surely, since the brave heroes will be protecting our world, I have already prepared a fitting place for you brave ones to rest. Those are all well and good promises then. Don't think that we can be tamed with only this much though. You'll have to continue giving your cooperation if you don't want us to turn rogue. That's right. Righto Tilder, what was wrong with these guys? Always looking down on people. The immediate threat right now was us becoming the kingdom's enemy. Well, we need to stay on top of things or else all our efforts will be in vain, with nothing but empty pockets to show for it. Well then, heroes. Let us hear each of your names. Hold on a sec, wasn't this just like the book, the For Heavenly Weapons Manual, that I read a while ago? We have the sword, spear, bow, and shield. Coincidentally, we were also called heroes. So doesn't that mean we got sucked inside the book's world? The sword hero stepped forward and began his self-introduction. My name is Amaki Ren. Age 16, a high schooler. Hero of the sword, Amaki Ren. First impressions, a Bishanen high school student would best describe him. He seemed to have taken great care of his facial features. Although he was a bit short, only about 165 centimeters. If this guy cross-dressed, no one would ever doubt that he was a girl. A perfect trap. His short-cut hair was a light brown color. Long, slated eyes and white skin, he somehow gave off a cool vibe. He looked like a slender swordsman. Okay, next up will be yours truly. My name's Kitamura Motoyasu. 21 this year, a university student. Hero of the spear, Kitamura Motoyasu. First impressions, he looked like the carefree type yet gave off the vibe of a real man. I've lost. His face was too refined even for a handsome guy. At least 1 or 2 girlfriends, that was his image as an experienced playboy. He was sporting a ponytail, a hairstyle that didn't match a male, yet somehow it didn't look out of place for him. He had a caring older brother kind of feel. It's my turn next. My name is Koizumi Itsuki. 17 right now, another high school student. Hero of the bow, Koizumi Itsuki. First impressions, a timid boy who enjoyed piano lessons. He seemed to lead a fleeting life yet also possessed a reliable, tenacious strength. His aura was quite vague and mysterious. A few curly hair strands made him look like he had a wavy perm hairstyle. He gave off the feeling of a docile younger brother. Everyone looked Japanese. It was quite surprising with the whole foreign setting. Whoops, it was my turn already. And lastly, I'm Iftani Neofumi, age 20, university student. The king casually looked past me. A weird feeling shot through my spine. Fumu, Ren, Motoyasu, and Itsuki, ho. My liege, you forgot about me. Oh sorry, Neofumi Dorna. Seriously, this old man had some short-term memory issues. That was just. Somehow, I was feeling out of place here. Please don't forget about me at least. Now then, everyone please confirm your own status. As a matter of fact, I would like you all to visually check for yourselves. A. Just what is this status? Eto, how do I go about seeing this? Itsuki timidly asked for the king's guidance. Well duh, you don't just go around throwing the word status without a proper explanation. The hell, man. You guys didn't even notice that much after coming to this world. Ren was utterly shocked by his colleague's ignorance. How should I know? It was like, what exactly was there for me to notice? Your face. Well whatever, do you see that icon in the corner of your vision? A. When he said that, I noticed a weird, dim icon along the edge of my vision. Focus your mind on it and you'll see. Pika and tilde, and as it light lit up silently, a browser with bigger icons similar to a PC's popped into my view. Iftani Neofumi occupation, hero of the shield level 1 equipment, small shield, legendary armament, parallel worlds clothed skill, none magic, none there was a bunch of other data but let's omit that part. So this was the status. But what the hell was this? It was strangely like a game. Level 1 this doesn't look very reassuring. Right, I don't even know if it's possible to fight like this. That's exactly what I meant. Tools like these don't exist in the Brave One's world. This status magic can be used by everyone in this world, helping to improve ourselves. Is that so? Your real body's prowess was represented by numerical values and could be naturally raised through these numbers. This was quite surprising. So then, what should we do now? Our current values seem rather troubling. Fumu. From now on, you brave heroes will need to venture forth so that you may hone and strengthen both yourselves as well as your legendary armaments. Strengthen? Does that mean that our starting equipment isn't strong enough? Yes, the legendary weapon of each summoned hero has their own special method of enchantment. By doing so they can become very powerful. Legend this, legend that. It's fine not to change weapons as long as it can function properly as a weapon, no. Motoyasu whirled his spear around while commenting. That was indeed correct. But mine was a shield. It wasn't even a weapon and was something that needed to be upgraded regularly. That doesn't matter right now, so we can leave it for later. More importantly, what we need is to improve our own abilities, right? This was a Mofix situation where heroes from parallel worlds were summoned. Like a springtime of youth where one's reckless emotions swelled up from deep inside. The number one dream filled with exciting adventures that will never cease. Focusing on their weapons was usually the case for everyone that was involved in such a situation. So are we going to form a party with the four of us? Brave heroes, please hold for a moment. Even though we were advised to set out right away. Each of you brave heroes will need to recruit your own companions and begin your adventures separately. And the reason for that is, yes, according to legend, it's said that the legendary armaments will reject one another should you brave heroes band together, interfering with the growth of both the owners and the weapons. I don't really get it, but if we act together, we can't increase our power. Wasn't it supposed to be something along the lines of, if we group the legendary weapons together, they will help each other? Everyone shared a glance with one another. Attention! If those who possess the legendary weapons worked together on a united front, a repulsing reaction will occur. Therefore, let us move individually as much as possible. That really does seem to be the case. Just what was up with this gamish explanation? It seemed like I have entered a completely game-like world. The instructions for this weapon were conveniently lined up for me and were described in great detail. However, I don't have the time to read everything right now. Between improving ourselves and recruiting comrades, I wonder which should be done first. Allow me to prepare your comrades. At any rate, the sun is already beginning to set. Brave ones, please take your time and rest for the day. You may depart for your journey tomorrow. During that time I shall make arrangements and scout for talented individuals who can accompany you on your destiny. Thank you very much. Thank you. After saying our thanks, we rest in the rooms that were prepared by the king for the day. Sitting on the luxurious beds inside the guest room, everyone was staring intensely at their own weapon as they went over its description. The sun outside the window had already set before I even noticed. That was how focused everyone was at reading the descriptions. Eto, unlike regular weapons, the legendary weapons didn't require routine maintenance. Based on the owner's level, the weapon will be able to absorb different raw materials. The weapon manual will also fill up as we defeat monsters. At a glance, it seemed to contain a variety of branches which the weapon could change into. I clicked on my weapon icon, which opened up the weapon manual. Ta-da! Tons of picture icons popped up and spanned onwards, even beyond the menu window in front of me. I didn't have the ability to change into any of these shields right now, but they were all described in detail. Incredible. Phew, it seemed that some arms could only be unsealed by evolving its predecessor first. This type of setup, wasn't this similar to the skill trees utilized in online games? Learning new skills was like evolving the weapon, as both were necessary to unlock your true potential. Seriously, this was just like a video game. Yo, doesn't this all seem pretty game-like? Might as well request some aid from my other colleagues. However, my question was only met with silence. Seriously dude, isn't this an actual game? I've known some which are like this. Motoyasu proudly boasted. Are you saying that you don't even know about this famous online game? Well no, but was there a game that even a splendid otaku such as myself didn't know of? So you scrubs really don't know. This is Emerald Online, man. What's that? Never even heard of that one. Just how ignorant can you guys be? It's such a famous title too. Of course I know games like Odin Online and Fantasy Moon Online, aren't these pretty popular too? What are those? This is the first time I've heard of them. If I may interject, everyone, this world isn't a net game, but more like a console game. That's wrong, bro. This is AVMO, right? Well, for instance, isn't this world similar to games where you click and use a controller to operate? Confused, Motoyasu tilted his head with a dumbfounded expression during our conversation. Click? Controller? What kind of retro games are you referring to? Don't people usually mean VMO when they say net game these days? VMO? As in virtual reality MMO? What kind of sci-fi world setting are you trying to create? Are you daydreaming here? A loud sound of disagreement was released. Come to think of it, this Ren guy was the first to notice our status magic. He gave off the impression of someone who was accustomed to this. Well then, gentlemen, I'd like to ask each of you to name a game from your world which bears the closest resemblance to this one. Itsuki requested with his hand slightly raised. Brave Star Online. Emerald Online. None. I mean, this is simply a game-like type of world, right? I could understand that this place felt gamish. But seriously Judes, you guys thought that I couldn't even tell the difference between a game and reality. As for myself, this world is like a console game called Dimension Wave. A game title which no one else knew of yet again. Hold on for a minute, let's reorganize our information. Motoyasu said while putting a hand on his forehead as he tried to calm us down. Hey, tell me what you know about the situation with Mo, will you? It's common where I live. Itsuki, Naofumi. What about you guys? If I recall correctly, it only exists in sci-fi. I remember reading about it in a light novel before. Is that so? I suppose I did get that vibe off of you. Then back to you, Ren, what's this Brave Star Online? Is it of Mo? Yeah, that's right, VR MMOs are ones like Brave Star Online. It has a world system very similar to this world's setup. Just for reference, VMO involved a technology where one's brain waves were analyzed and deconstructed into data, which allows that person to dive into another world produced by a computer. That was my understanding of it more or less. If that's true then, does that mean the world that you two came from only has retro games like the ones you both mentioned earlier? He said with his head inclined. Reviewing what I know about gaming history, those type of computer games clearly did exist at one point. But for some reason I don't recognize any of those supposedly famous titles which you guys mentioned. Motoyasu and I both nodded. Without question, not knowing a popular online game was certainly strange. And while there was a chance that our preferences were simply too different, it was blatantly impossible not recognize a single renowned title between all of us. Let's try asking a common question. What's the name of the current Prime Minister? Hi. Everyone nodded. Let's say it together. Gukyurin. Yuder Meizeto. Uehara Zuyoshitara. Adeka Inishi. Itsufuji Shijar. These were prime ministers I had never even heard of before. It's not the kind of mistake I would ever make in a history class test. After that we asked about famous internet slang, net pages, and more online games. And thus, we arrived at the same conclusion of not knowing anyone else's information. Apparently, it seems that we all came from different Japans. Looks that way. You guys definitely didn't come from the same Japan as me. This means there's another Japan for each distinctive world. There's a high chance that each of them belong in a separate era too, since they don't match each other at all. This was an explicit gathering of four weird individuals. But even so, we all came to an understanding that everyone here was an otaku. So there was no need to panic. Based on this pattern, I think everyone has a different reason for being here. Idle conversation isn't one of my hobbies, but I guess it's necessary for us to obtain information. Ren awkwardly scratched his nose, though I was totally cool when people revealed their insecurities. I was walking back home from school, when I unfortunately encountered a troubling murder incident. Phew. I tried helping my childhood friend who was with me at the time, and somehow I managed to capture the killer, but that's as far as I can remember. Ren explained his circumstances while rubbing at his side the whole time. Saving your childhood friend? What kind of hero were you trying to make yourself out to be? I had a strong urge to play the straight man but showed some restraint for now. Look man, capturing the perp was good and all, but if you got your side stabbed at the end then what good does that do? Such a false display of chivalry here. This fellow hero needs to be placed in the untrustworthy category. Though I'll let it slide this time. I was already in this world before I even felt a thing. I see, a heroic situation where you save your childhood friend. I coolly feigned while complimenting him with a chuckle. I've already heard enough, bro. Then I'll go next. Motoyasu pointed at himself and began to speak. For me, it was because I had too many girlfriends. Yeah, that totally was the case. This guy seemed like the annoying Onii-san type who gave off a booty-chasing image. And after doing a bit of this and that, did you get stabbed for 2-timing or 3-timing? That idiot Ren asked with a straight face. Motoyasu's eyes blinked with surprise before he gave a small nod. Man, girls are really scary, aren't they? Goddamn it. I was overcome with anger and shoved my middle finger into his face. Die, asshole. I mean, were you summoned into this world because that's how you died? Otto. Itsuki had a hand on his chest and was already beginning his confession. I guess it's my turn now. When I was crossing the street on my way home from cram school, a dump truck took a sharp corner turn. And afterwards, in all likelihood he was run over. That was one hell of a pitiful ending. Eh? Wait a second, these stories didn't seem to mesh well with mine? Do I absolutely have to recount my story on what happened before I came to this world? Well duh, we already told you ours. I suppose so. Sorry to say, guys, but as far as I remember, all I was doing was reading a suspicious book inside the library. Everyone's gaze felt so cold. What? We couldn't be friends just because I came into this world without a tragic ending? The three of them began to secretly whisper amongst each other while leaving me out of the loop. But, that person, has the shield. Right, same as our place. Oh, why did I feel like I was being treated like a fool? Let's try changing the topic. Well guys, how would you rate this world now that we know the rules and how its system works? So. It's not that bad. It's nice in its own way. I see how it is. I was being treated like a total noob here. That was mean. Hey, can't you guys teach me how to fight and stuff? Since my world didn't have this kind of game after all. How can you guys be so cold-hearted? Motoyasu and Itsuki were staring at me with awfully charitable eyes. Alright, Motoyasu Onii-san here will teach you the very basics at least. Motoyasu raised his hands up to his putrid phony face. So first, according to my knowledge from Emerald Online, shield. People who use shields as their main weapon are usually, first of all, you have high defense. Secondly, even though your defense is high, if you keep on taking damage like an idiot, you'll die. Okay? So your loser class will never be able to reach a high level. No, I didn't want to hear that part. What kind of death flag was this? I was stuck with a deadbeat occupation right off the bat. Oi, update. Shouldn't there be a patch update? There was a thing called job balancing, right? Nope, it's a totally pitiful class when pitted against bosses and even common mobs. That's why they just leave it alone. And also, there was that class abolishing decision. Aren't there job upgrades? Perhaps that only happens when you die. Then how about a job change option? You can't change to another class skill tree anyways, right? GEH. If all of this was true then I was stuck with this backbreaking occupation and somehow had to make do. I glared at my shield as I thought. Hey you, why do you have such a bleak, chocolate-colored future? How about with you guys? I look imploringly into Ren's and Itsuki's eyes. Both of them casually averted their eyes. Sorry. Same here. EK. Did this mean that I was condemned to be a failure? The three of them were giving me side glances while they talked about each of their respective games. So how's the geography? The names are different but hardly anything else. It's very likely that the performance and distribution of demons are the same here too. Our weapon hunting locations are roughly the same, but let's not hunt at the same place as each other. True enough, we need to take efficiency into consideration as well. Why was it always them? Why didn't I also awaken with a hex ability? That was what I had been brooding over. That's right. If I was weak, then couldn't I just find companions to rely on? How come I hadn't thought of this sooner? Even if I'm no good, I can still grow stronger by joining a party. Phew. It's all good. This is a special parallel world, so even if I'm weak, I'll be able to manage somehow. The three of them looked at me as if I was a pitiful existence. But fear not, I won't be defeated by you guys. To begin with, my equipment was only a type of armor, so it was different from a game. I could just focus on strengthening another weapon and ignore this shield's special growth. Yay! I'll work hard at it. I shouted to invigorate myself. Brave heroes, your meals have been prepared. Oh, apparently we'll be eating dinner now. Hi, everyone stepped out of the door. The guide then led everyone to the knight's dining room. The castle's banquet hall was like a scene from a fantasy movie. A complete feast filled the table in a buffet-like fashion. Everyone, please go ahead and eat whatever you desire. What the? Are we eating the same stuff that your knights eat? A small grumble was heard. Whoever said that sure was rude as hell. Of course not. The guide shook his head. This cuisine was specially prepared for the brave heroes and will be divided once you have eaten. I looked around as he said so. I noticed that the noisy bunch of people were actually cooks. I see, so there was also a ranking order when it comes to meals. Eating here was a form of initiation, meant to introduce us to the knights. Thank you, let's dig in. I suppose. And thus, we thoroughly enjoyed this parallel world's cuisine. The smell and taste was a bit odd, but there was nothing that couldn't be eaten. Well, the food had a unique kind of twist to them, like an omelet-type food which tasted like an orange. After finishing our meal, we headed back to our room for some rest. Do they have baths here? This place is pretty medievalish, so I guess the chance of it being an open-air bath is fairly high. Personally, I don't think they have any. Well, it's only our first day right now, I suppose. Time to hit the sack. We'll begin our journey tomorrow, so let's give it our best. Everyone nodded at Motoyasu's words and went to bed. My epic adventure will start tomorrow. The other three and I went to bed, awaiting impatiently for the next day to arrive. The next morning, after breakfast, we were impatiently called upon by the king. As expected, there wasn't much noise this early in the morning. It should be around 10 a.m. based on the position of the sun. We received the summons just as I was thinking that. We quickened our steps, our chests filled with excitement while we made our way towards the audience chamber. The honored heroes have arrived. The audience chamber doors swung open, and inside were 12 people clad in various styles of adventurer outfits. There were also those dressed in knight-like garb. The king's influence sure is amazing. We bowed down to the king and listened to what he had to say. As promised yesterday, I have recruited companions who will accompany you on your journey. Apparently, everyone gathered has already decided which hero they wish to follow. Each of us should be getting 3 people if we divided them up evenly. Now then, future champions, please set forth with the hero to whom you shall swear your allegiance to. We didn't get to choose. It was a surprising development. Oh well, if I think about it, this parallel world's government would be more likely to place its citizens' wishes above some unknown persons who came from another world. We were lined up in a sequential order. Our future allies then walked over and gathered in front of each of us. Ren, 5 people Motoyasu, 4 people Itsuki, 3 people me, 0 Homo sapiens, oh Usama, please wait a moment. What the hell? Isn't this clearly simple harassment? Cold sweat ran down the king's face as I voiced my complaint. Dear me, I would never have thought such a situation could occur. There's quite a difference in charisma amongst them. The minister painted his whole face with amazement. A robed man then began to secretly whisper into the king's ear. Phew, did such a rumor spread? Did something happen? Motoyasu put up a sympathetic face and asked. Like I thought, this reeked of extreme prejudice. What the hell? This was like being the only kid left out when children were forming sport teams in elementary school. I wanted to ignore this feeling which existed even in a parallel world too. Phew. To be honest, there seems to be a rumor spreading around the castle about you heroes, or more specifically the shield hero. According to the legends, heroes that come to this world must meet a certain condition. It appears that you alone didn't fulfill this condition, such is the rumor. Motoyasu poked me with his elbow. Did someone eavesdrop on our chat yesterday? Is it because I didn't know about the games? Was that the reason why everyone was repulsed by me? I mean, what's wrong with these legends? Even though I'm unfamiliar with them, I'm still the shield hero, you know. I might have a loser's weapon according to the other heroes, but that doesn't mean I'm playing around, okay. Hey, Ren. Give me someone since you have 5 people. The female adventurers, including one man, shrank behind Ren and looked at me like frightened lambs. For some reason, Ren was roughly scratching his head before he shook it. I hate being tagged along by others. Anyone who doesn't have the resolve to follow me, please leave. And even after saying such a heartless statement, absolutely no one showed any signs of moving away from him. Motoyasu, my friend. Don't you think that this is too cruel? Well, by the way, there seemed to be an oddly high ratio of women in here. This smelled like a harem declaration of war. This is such a *T load of bias. And why were Motoyasu's companions all women? This guy seemed to be a chick magnet wherever he went. Itsuki also wore a worried face, which revealed his reluctance of parting with any of his beloved companions. I guess you've got your fair share of 3 people, so it's not good to take someone by force. Itsuki nodded his head, at a loss for words. So then, do I really have to depart alone? It's a shield, yo. A loser's weapon according to the theories, yo. Just watch me grow stronger even without comrades. Yuusha-sama, I'd like to accompany the shield hero instead. One of Motoyasu's former female companions raised her hand and expressed her candidacy as my ally. Oh, really? Yes. A lovely girl with semilong crimson hair. Her face is pretty cute, isn't it? She has youthful facial features, yet she's slightly shorter than me. Is there anyone else that wishes to fall under Naofumi Dorna's protection? At this scene, no one showed any sign of moving. The king let out a grieving sigh. So, there is no one else. Unfortunately, Naofumi Dorna, it appears you will need to scout for additional talent yourself. But fret not, for I shall be giving you a bonus on your monthly war fund which will soon be distributed. Yes. A wise decision. Since I'm the one with the least amount of allies, I'll be the one with the largest financial budget. Now then, here are your monthly war funds. Brave heroes, please use this with a clear goal in mind. 4 pouches full of money were distributed to us, and a slightly larger money bag was handed over to me. I heard heavy chinking sounds coming from inside. Naofumi Dorna will receive 800 silver coins, while the others will receive 600 each. Please use this money to buy equipment for yourselves. Whoa! Every one of us each gave a salute, and thus the king's audience was concluded. Afterwards, our self-introductions began. Shield hero, mine Sophia is my name. Let us work together from now on. Yo, Yoroshiku. Mine is such a splendid person for talking to me without a hint of bias. But after that unsightly incident from earlier, it's kind of awkward to start a conversation. On the bright side, however, such a caring girl is now my ally. I have to treasure this companion of mine. Therefore, I won't lose to the other heroes by upgrading my legendary weapon. Let's go then, mine-san. Okay Tilder, mine vigorously nodded and followed behind me. Crossing the bridge connecting the castle to the town, a splendid city laid before me. Even though I caught a curious glimpse of it yesterday, seeing it up close made me realize the vivid charm of this parallel world. The streets were paved with stones and there were signs hanging on the buildings. The place was shrouded with the savory fragrance of food. I was truly moved, both deeply and emotionally. What should we do now? First, we should go to some item shops, and probably a weapon shop in order to gear ourselves up. This will consume most of our funds. Right, the first order of business should be me, who only has a shield, to acquire a weapon. Without one, it'll be difficult for me to fight monsters and catch up with those guys. After all, they have actual weapons that can evolve. In order to get a head start, we definitely need to resolve this problem quickly. Alright, I know of a good shop, so allow me be your guide. Are you really okay with that? Most certainly. Mine was skipping about as she led me to the weapon shop. After 10 minutes of walking from the castle, mine stopped in front of a conspicuous store with an oversized sword printed on its sign. Here is my recommendation. Oh. Stepping through the door, one could see weapons hanging from the walls, exactly as one would imagine when mentioning a weapon shop. There were also other necessities for adventuring, such as complete suits of armor. Welcome. The shop owner cheerfully greeted as I entered the shop. He was just like I had imagined, someone ultra buff who stood behind the weapons store counter. It would have been rather revolting if the owner was a flappy fatty. This really is a parallel world. Heh, so this is a weapon shop. Oh, a first-time customer. It seems that you came in without knowing what you're looking for. Yeah, I was introduced to this shop by her, I said while pointing at mine. She raised her hand and waved back lightly. Thanks a lot, Mei-nu-chan. No problem Tilder, it's simply that Oyaji's shop is famous around here. Oh, you're flattering me. But isn't the outfit of your boyfriend over there a bit weird? Right, my current clothes are parallel worlds clothing. Can't you see that this is a classy attire, weird dude? Oyaji thinks so too. So that means you're a hero. Wow. Oyaji took a long, hard look at me. He doesn't seem to be very reliable. So snide. How straightforward. Before he even said that, I already knew I was unreliable right now. That's why I wanted to become stronger. You need better equipment, I suppose. Har har har. It's not the personality but the appearance. Are you that misfit? Pikey, I felt like my cheeks were cramping. Rumors about me seemed to be traveling unexpectedly fast. Well, whatever. Only losers would care. My name is Iftani Naofumi, the hero of the shield. I'll be troubling you from this point onward, so please take care of me. I gave my introduction to Oyaji just in case. So, Naofumi. It's good to hear that I'll have your patronage from now on. Best regards. Again, he sure is an energetic one. Well, Oyaji, do you have any good equipment? Mine leered at Oyaji as she asked. Right. How much do you have to spend? Let me see. Mine began appraising me. Around the range of 250 silver coins. We had 800 silver coins yet we'll only be using 250. I guess she considered the value of hiring our future comrades. Oh, if that's what you're looking for, then how about this here? Oyaji left the counter, picked up some of the weapons on display, and came back. So lad, which one of these do you want? I have no idea which is good. I would suggest swords since they are good for beginners. I looked at the swords aligned on the counter. These are my new recommendations since they all have blood clean coating. Blood clean. It's a coating which prevents dullness due to gore. Heh. I remembered that back in the old world, I once heard that if a knife was used to butcher meat, its sharpness will fade over time. In other words, the edges of these swords will never dull. I guess it's like a sharp sword. From the left we have iron, magic steel, and finally silver. Each of their performance is guaranteed to be top-notched. Does the material used affect its durability? These weapons seem to belong in the ore-based category. There are better weapons around here, but these are the ones which fit your budget of 250 silver coins. I see. Console games usually don't have better equipment in the first town. Despite that fact, this place has quite a good lineup. This world once again resembled an online game. Usually, big countries had better stocks of weapons. This seemed to be the case for this parallel world too. Iron sword, huh? I slowly grasped the sword's handle. It truly was heavy. I hadn't thought about the weight since my shield was extremely light. But weapons seem to be considerably heavy, huh? So I'll be using this to defeat the monsters. Barshin, ouch. A sudden, intense surge of electricity repelled the iron sword in my hand and sent it flying. Oh. Oyaji and mine were staring alternately between me and the sword with mystified looks. What the? I picked up the fallen sword. No sign of that strange thing happening. What was all that about? My previous thoughts returned as I recalled them. Barshi, uchi. I glared at Oyaji, thinking he was playing a trick on me. Yet he shook his head repeatedly. It shouldn't be mine, but I turned toward her anyways. Did you see how it was suddenly repelled? Such bullsh t. I stared at my palm while thinking about such impossibility. Then, words began to emerge into my view. What the fuck? I quickly located the help option to summon up the description. Found it. What did you say? My benevolent self couldn't use anything else besides this shield. How in the world could I fight with only a shield? Eto. Thanks, but it seems that my shield is the possessive type. I laughed bitterly while looking up. How does it function? Can I take a look? Seemed Oyaji had taken an interest in my shield as he held it up with his hands. It'll never come off because such a method doesn't exist. The weapon shop's Oyaji chanted something under his breath, then a small ball of light flew towards the shield. Fumu. Even though it looks like a small shield, there's something mysterious about it. Did you find out anything? I know that it's a small shield. It was also called by that name in my status window, with the legendary weapon tag attached to it. Probably this jewel engraved in the middle? I can sense a strong source of power from there. While I could somewhat identify it through my appraisal magic, I couldn't fully grasp it. It seems to be a type of curse. After finishing his appraisal, Oyaji faced me while playing with his trademark beard. You've shown me something interesting. Then do you want to buy some armor instead? Yes please. You're buying armor instead of weapons within the 250 silver coin range, then I guess this armor will do. Since I already possess a shield, it doesn't seem like I have many other options. Oyaji brought back several pieces of armor that were on display. The full plate armor isn't very popular with adventurers since it's quite chunky. A chain mail would provide better movement. With that said, I reached out towards the chain mail. Jingailing, asterisk looks like cloth sewed with metal chains. This seemed fine. But I wondered if it only increases the defense of the protected areas? Huh? An icon opened. Fumu, the sword's description didn't pop up before since I couldn't equip it. How much is this worth? Mine asked the shop owner. At a discount, it'll only be 120 silver coins. Should I buy it? I suppose, if it's still relatively new, I guess I can resell for 100 silver. What's wrong? Since this is indispensable for Shield Hero Summer's growth, I just want to reconfirm the price, that's all. That makes sense. I'm only at LVL 1, but I'll have to upgrade my equipment as I grow stronger after all. This seemed like low-level gear, but it was also the best I can get in my current state. Okay then, I'll be buying this. Thank you. I'll be sure to give you a bonus for next time. The shop owner expressed his thanks while sending me words of gratitude. 120 silver coins was handed over and the chain mail was obtained. Do you want to put it on now? Yep, then please come this way. I was led to the changing room, and I donned the chain mail over my undergarments. My old clothes were put inside a bag provided by the shop owner. Oh, don't you look quite handsome now? Thanks a lot. Keep the compliments coming. Then shall we go hunting now, Yuusha-sama? Okay. Looking like a true adventurer, I loudly exited the shop while mine accompanied me. We then headed over to the gate, about to leave the castle walls. On the way, the guard knight bowed to me and I happily returned it with a nod. The start of my exciting adventure was about to begin. Upon exiting the gate, one could see the green meadows spreading far into the horizon. Now, I was only one step away from leaving the stone-paved streets and entering the trail which led into the boundless, uncharted grasslands. This was like a field trip to Hokkaido. It was the first time I had personally experienced how vast the sky and horizon truly were. With only this much excitement, a hero needed to stay composed. Now then, Yuusha-sama, shall we engage in some mock battles against the weaker demons inhabiting this area? Right, this'll be my first combat experience, so I've got to fight to the best of my abilities. Please give it your all. What? You're not going to fight with me, mine. If I fight then I won't be able to gauge Yuusha-sama's potential. That's true. Come to think of it, mine should have more battle experience than me. I didn't even know how much I was capable of right now. Let's try fighting against a monster that mine had marked as a safe choice. I wandered the grassland for a while. Then some weirdly conspicuous, orange balloon-like creature came into my view. Yuusha-sama, please wait. Over there is an orange balloon, and although it's one of the weakest monsters, it's very aggressive. That was some crude naming sense. You called it an orange balloon just because it was orange and round. Gar. With an atrocious cry, a pair of hostile, villainous eyes were staring directly at me. Originating from the meadow, the balloon-shaped thing charged at me like a beast upon spotting my presence. Yuusha-sama, please do your best. Oh, I've got to show her my good side. With my right hand, I used the blunt side of the shield to strike the orange balloon. Bash. Boy on Tilder. It rebounded off my shield at the point of impact. This monster is surprisingly elastic. Even though I thought that it would break right away, the orange balloon bared its fangs and started biting me. Hi. Kang. I heard a solid impact. Yet it didn't hurt, it barely even itched. The orange balloon was biting my arm, but it had no effect at all. It seemed that the shield was gently emitting a protective barrier around me. I looked wordlessly at mine. Go on, Yuusha-sama. Oh ra. I didn't receive any damage, but I couldn't deal much of it either. So I continuously struck the orange balloon like a kung fu master. 5 minutes later. Pop. A faint sound was heard followed by the orange balloon bursting. Har. The value popped up along with a pikan sound. I think I received a single experience point. Seriously, all this work just to kill one balloon. I couldn't help but pity myself. That was a tough fellow. My bare hands could only do so much. Pakai. I'm proud of you, Yuusha-sama. Mine gave me her applause, yet it somehow felt hollow. Suitor, suitor, suitor. Then I heard footsteps. Looking behind me, I saw Ren along with his companions jogging onward. I thought they would be chatting amongst themselves along the way, but all of them were wearing a serious expression while moving silently. Three orange balloons appeared in front of them. Zuber. With one swing of his sword, Ren sent an orange balloon popping. One hit kill. Hey dude, just how different could our attack powers be? Mine awkwardly turned her head away multiple times, avoiding my eyes. It will be alright. Every hero has their share of struggles after all. Arigato. It's my first fight anyways. And I suffered 0 injuries since my defense is super high, even with the orange balloon biting me for 5 whole minutes. Just as I started ransacking the remnants of orange balloon, the shield let out a pican sound. When I brought it closer, the shield glowed gently with a pale light and absorbed the remnants. As this line popped up, the weapon book icon also blinked. I opened it to confirm, then the small orange shield icon popped up. While I couldn't transform my shield yet, I now knew what materials were required. So that's the power of the legendary weapons. Yep, looks like it needs to absorb materials in order to transform. I see. By the way, how much could I get from selling what was dropped earlier? It should be about 1 copper coin. And how many coppers do I need to get 1 silver? 100 copper coins. Oh well, it couldn't be helped. It was a weak monster, so of course it'll drop equally poor loot. It's your turn next, mine. I suppose so. At that moment, some orange balloons approached us. Mine took out her sword from her waist and swung twice. The orange balloons then burst with a pop. Am I that weak? My name is Iftani Neofumi, a 20-year-old university student. Right now, my mouth is being covered by both of my hands. I had been summoned to a parallel world and became its hero for 2 days now. After 5 minutes of combat with a suitable monster, I had come to perfectly understand my role. Hero aptitude test for people were given this test. The most rational result shall be swiftly delivered. Check. What is your hunting aptitude? Whoopsie, looks like I lost myself for a moment there. Anyways, I had become painfully aware that I am, or rather my shield, was super weak. It seemed that it was more efficient to simply let mine do the fighting. Okay then, mine. Please attack while I'll be in charge of defense. Let's see how far we can go with this setup. Hi. Mine immediately replied. After that, we roamed around the meadows until the sun began to set. We encountered more orange balloons and some yellow balloons, where it seemed their strength differed by their color. We can encounter slightly stronger monsters if we press onward, but it will soon be nightfall if we don't return to the castle. I wish we could keep on hunting a bit more though. I had yet to receive any damage, since the balloons' attacks were so easy to defend against. Since we're returning early, let's take another look at the weapon shop. Because upgrading my equipment will allow us to go even farther than today. Come to think of it, that makes sense. I was able to improve myself and gain a little EXP for my starting level, so I suppose we've made good enough progress for the day. By the way, the shield also absorbed enough to satisfy the transformation requirement. I now had a balloon shield equipped to my arm. In the long run, I guess I could still level up and transform my shield some more. Oh well. As the first day of adventuring ended with many uncertainties, we began heading back to the castle town. That evening, we dropped by the weapon shop again after returning to the castle town. Well if it isn't the shield lad. The other heroes had also dropped by earlier. Did everyone buy from this shop? Oyaji greeted us with a pleased expression. Oh right. Do you know where we can sell this? I presented Oyaji with an orange balloon skin and he pointed towards the front of his store. There's a shop that buys most of the monster drops if you bring them over there. Thank you. So, what business do you have with me? It's for mine. I want to gear up my companion. Mine was quietly staring at the equipment inside the store when I turned toward her. So what's your budget? I had 680 silver coins remaining on hand. I wondered how much I should spend. Mine, how much should I use? Mine was comparing equipment with an extremely serious expression. So serious that my words didn't reach her at all. Since I didn't know the cost to rent a room at an inn, I couldn't estimate how much we would need for a month's worth of lodging. Your companion's equipment. I suppose anything that looks good while providing decent stats would be fine, right? Sounds good. Since I had next to nothing in terms of firepower, it was a better idea to focus on gearing mine up. You can give me a discount on expensive equipment since I've been accompanying you twice today, isn't that right? Please keep those hilarious fantasies to yourself, dear brave hero of ours. 80% discount. Please don't be unreasonable. 20% discount. We can go a bit higher. No. 79% discount. Never in my wildest dreams would I have guessed that you were the type to haggle on products. Whatever. 90% discount. TSK. 21% discount. At least give me a better deal. Full discount. What the hell, Yuusha-sama? Fine. 50% discount. Too small. 92%. Then, as this continued for a while, mine brought over a set of armor with a cute design and a seemingly useful metal sword. Yuusha-sama, I would like these. Oyaji, what's the total? 60% discount. The total is 480 silver coins including the price reduction, which is a 59% final discount. Since I had been haggling with Oyaji before mine made up her mind, the price was greatly reduced. Yet as expected, being left with only 200 silver coins was a bit rough. No. Mine, can't you wait a bit longer? I'm trying to save us as much money as possible for our lodging. Isn't it fine, Yuusha-sama? If I get stronger, we can defeat bigger and more dangerous monsters, which also means more income, right? With her eyes sparkling, mine pressed her breasts against my arm as she pleaded with me. I suppose so. With 200 silver coins remaining, I wondered what Ren, Motoyasu, and Itsuki would do to get their hands on this amount. Their original funds could only take them as far, barely covering the initial gear for their entire team. It seemed like 200 silver coins is an amount which will let a person live comfortably for a whole month. Recruiting companions, leveling them up, and increasing your own income doesn't sound like a bad idea. Alright Oyaji, please take care of this. Thanks for your patronage. Really, you're one hell of a hero. Har har, not like money has eyes to see. I had always been a money hoarder in net games, buying items at the lowest price from auctions and reselling them at the highest price possible. Nothing is as easy as haggling with another person. Money will blind their eyes after all. Thank you, Yuusha-sama. Mine teasingly kissed my hand. This meant intimate up. Tomorrow's adventure will be a walk in the park. After we bought mine her equipment, we headed over to the town's inn. 30 copper coins a night per person. 2 rooms, please. Wouldn't 1 room do just fine? Yuusha-sama. Mine silently pressured me. It couldn't be helped. 2 rooms then. Hi. I owe you a favor. The inn owner was rubbing his hands together as he led us to our rooms. The price was standardized based on the number of people. After that we went out for dinner in the inn's tavern. We were charged 10 extra copper coins for our meals. In other words, I spread out the region map which I purchased along the way and asked mine. Today, we were hunting in this meadow over here. This map showed the geographic landscape of the surrounding region. If I had asked before, Motoyasu would have definitely shown me the ropes. But looking back at his attitude yesterday, that didn't appeal to me at all. I also had no reservations in outwitting my other competitors. I wanted to get ahead of them by learning where powerful demon lairs were located first. Therefore, I asked mine to teach me the area of this region. Yes, that's correct. Earlier you said something about if we had pressed onward. Were you talking about this forest that's within walking distance from the meadow? With this map I could get a rough understanding of this country's geography. There's a highway that cuts across the castle meadows and leads into a forest. From there, mountains appear along the edges of the map with a river nearby. Since this wasn't a very big map, I couldn't see any other villages that might have been further ahead. As expected, this map doesn't provide any information beyond the forest. It would be suicidal to fight without knowing what monsters spawn in there or the safe path through the area. Yes, although it isn't recorded in the map, there's a village called Rafan inside the forest. This is where we should go next. Phew, interesting. There's also a novice dungeon outside of the village. Dungeon. The Dreamland. Although there was nothing to do besides killing the monsters inside when it came to net games. The rewards won't be too bad either. Yuusha-sama would at least gain a few levels from that place. I see. We're also well equipped, and along with Yuusha-sama's superb defense, it should be a breeze. Oh ho, why thank you. I'll use this as a future reference. Not at all. By the way, Yuusha-sama, why haven't you touched your wine? I had gotten carried away with the tavern's atmosphere and ordered a glass, but I hadn't even taken a sip yet. Har, I'm not very fond of alcohol, you see. It's not that I couldn't drink. As a matter of fact, I could hold my liquor quite easily. I just wasn't interested in drinking. Back in my college fraternity when there was a party and everyone, including me, was chugging down drinks like alcoholics, only I stayed sober while the rest had gotten beastly drunk. After that certain event, they all came to hate my guts. Is that so? But 1 cup wouldn't hurt, right? Sorry. But I really, truly hate to drink. But I'm sorry. Oh okay. Mine dejectedly withdrew the glass of wine. Well then, I'll be retiring for today. Please take care of me tomorrow as well. Hi, see you tomorrow. I hastily finished my meal inside the noisy tavern and returned to my room. As expected, I had to remove my chain mail since it was uncomfortable to sleep with it on. I hung it on a chair afterwards. I then placed the bag of silver coins on the table. So I had 200 silver coins remaining. Actually, make that 199 silver coins since I paid the inn in advance. Unable to calm down, I couldn't help but feel anxious the whole time. It must have been my beggar blood acting up since I've always been lacking in the cash department. Like a stealthy, Japanese tourist who's on vacation, I hid 30 silver coins inside my shield. Yep, I could finally feel secure. Much had happened today. So this is the feeling you get from defeating monsters. Those balloons didn't inflict any pain though. I was sitting on the bed, so I lied back down without a second thought. What an unfamiliar ceiling, and it was only yesterday that I came into this world. I needed to relax. From now on, the curtain to my glorious daily life will open. Although I had a late start compared to my fellow heroes, I would be walking on my own path. I didn't need to become the strongest, just doing the best to my abilities would be enough. For some reason, I suddenly gotten so sleepy. I could hear a cheerful voice coming from the direction of the tavern. I think I heard voices similar to both Motoyasu and Itsuki conversing in the next room. Are those guys lodging here too? I reached out my hand to extinguish the room lamp. It's a bit early tonight, but let's just hit the hay. Chair I. What in the world is that sound? Are the tavern's drunkards making more ruckus again? Munya. Scratchy scratch. It was so hot, these clothes were so sticky. It was cold. The sun shone brightly on my face, as if announcing a new morning. Disoriented from drowsiness, I got up and took a look outside the window. It seemed that I had fallen asleep before I knew it. The sun had already risen quite high. According to my biological clock, it should be around 9 a.m. I was only in my underwear. Did I unconsciously take my clothes off? Oh well, whatever. As I eyed the scenery outside my window, I spotted crowds of people come and go as if it was the most natural thing in the world. It was quite the spectacle seeing busy restaurants and food stalls cooking their ingredients for the day's lunch rush. There were also carriages being pulled along the street, and I unwittingly fell into a trance of sorts. This really is a wonderful parallel world. It seemed that the bird or horse-drawn carriages were the two most popular types. The bird looked like a particular type of ostrich. I believe their official name in a certain game would be chocobo. If anything, the horses seemed to be more of the luxurious type. Once in a while, a carriage would be pulled by a cattle. This medieval setting is unbelievably wonderful, isn't it? Now then, it's time to start breakfast and quickly depart for another adventure. I searched the bed for my clothes which I supposedly removed during my slumber. Weird. They weren't here? The chain mail that was hung on the chair could not be found. The bag of silver coins on the table was gone too. Not only that, even my original spare clothes were gone. What the? Oh snap. Nighttime invasion. I was robbed during my sleep. This inn had some serious problems with their security. Anyways, I had to hurry over to mine and warn her. Bam! I rushed out and knocked on the door next to my room. Mine. There's a problem. Our money and my equipment, dash. Don. There was no sign of mine coming out no matter how hard I knocked. Noisy footsteps could be heard approaching my direction from a bit further down the corridor. The castle knights came over and stared at me. Since I was the victim of a night-raided invasion, they were going to help me arrest the culprit, right? This thief must have been quite a fool to rob a hero in his sleep. You guys are knights from the castle, right? Please hear me out for a moment. I faced the knights and eagerly appealed to them. Mine, please come out of the room quickly, I'm in serious trouble right now. It's the shield hero. Well, yeah, that's me. What in the world? They seem to be strangely hostile towards me. The king has requested your immediate presence. We are to accompany you along the way. Requested my presence? No, I have a reason for looking like this. I was a victim of a bedroom invasion. The culprit, come along now. Squeeze. That hurts. At least listen to my story. The knights forcefully gripped my arms and took me by force. I'm still in my underwear here. What kind of treatment is this? Hey, mine. Come quickly, dash. The knights refused to listen to my situation, and thus I had to leave mine behind at the inn while I was being dragged back to the castle. A carriage like the ones I saw earlier was there waiting for me. I had no idea what was going on. All I knew was that I was being treated like a criminal while the real one was somewhere roaming free.